This is the week I am going to make it happen. It has been just about a year since I started working on those forward cabinets in our guest berth, and again, I haven't touched them actually in so long. Then I started working on the area under the bed there to get that painted with our bilge paint. And so really they've just kind of been like 90% ready to go, ignored. But this is the week I'm gonna go back and touch up the areas I kind of started fixing before, but I really think that the amount of work I've done in there is probably more than enough. So those things are going to get primed this week. After 8 years of the nomadic life, involving crossing oceans in a 34-foot Sabre, refitting an aluminum boat, and then taking that to the Arctic Circle, we're back at it again with a brand new build. This is Matt and I'm Jessica. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us every week as we start our newest project of building a 42-foot catamaran from the ground up. There is very little work that still needed to be done to these cabinets. Mostly it was the coves that I had tried to perfect a few months before, which hadn't been fully sanded after I had tried to work them a little more. Also, once Matt added the forward face to the cabinet, at the top and at the bottom, I hadn't done anything with those areas yet, and they needed to be sanded and prepped before I could get any fairing compound on them. I think I figured out the perfect solution to working in the mornings is I let Matt get in 30 minutes before me. He runs our propane heater for like 20-30 minutes to kind of bring up the temperature inside, and then we just go to our radiator heaters. So by the time I get in, it's all nice and toasty already.
The 1-inch section that I added here, I did go through round over the top here, what's going to be our counter, and glass this, just one layer of double bias to hold that and prevent that from cracking later on once we go through and ferret. And then when we go through and ferret, we will actually bring that more to a kind of a sharper edge then again, because there is going to be countertop material going over the top of this. And it's the same thing around the settee as well. We'll end up coming up and with fairing and actually bring that back into the shape that we actually wanted it. But I need that round to sit there and for the glass to bend around properly and to create that edge. So it's like everything, it's a multi-step process to make sure that we're getting a good, strong, fair finish that is going to last. We don't have to worry about little micro cracks that would develop in this area if we didn't glass it.
So a few days ago, I was getting a little hung up in this area. I've got bulkhead 5. I'm facing aft right now, so I could do that. But the outboard part of our galley here, Matt still had to glass the countertop to the upright. And so of course I couldn't bring my fairing compound all the way up there because he needed that just plain foam to be able to glass it. But he was able to get that in last night, so I can sand down that resin and get that ready and now have an entirely covered white surface there. And since I'm about to get my first coat on that area, I figured I may as well go through and kind of like sand this area down to where I finally went up and around the window on bulkhead 6 to get another coat of fairing compound on that as well. Now that Matt had done the trim around the aft-facing edges of our cabinet, he needed to prep the sole in order to glass on the kick panel. skip ahead to after that project is done, and he's now using our fairing compound to fill in the routed troughs of our trim. This makes those small areas sturdier and reinforces the edges. And as you can tell, we have been using a lot of our fairing compound lately for all of our various projects. But the good news is that means lots of visible progress is starting to happen again. Hey dolls, it's Joyce. I just want to let you in on a little secret I learned about this year called HelloFresh. Now, as you know, I totally want to be there for my friend Jessica whenever I can because she has such a busy life. She spends all of her day standing on the catamaran, and then each night she's on her computer editing. Oh, such a sweetheart. But between you and me, I am so glad I'm not her. Anyway, she has zero free time, which is why I let her in on my little secret of HelloFresh, where she can get her meals delivered right to her door. So there's no wasting time driving to the grocery store or doing meal planning or figuring out what she's going to eat for the week. And not only does that save her time, but HelloFresh has fast and fresh recipes. It's the latest line of meals featuring booming flavors and filling proportions that are ready in less than 15 minutes. They've got things like falafel power bowls and Southwest pork and bean burritos. Oh, talk about a lifesaver. So you might be thinking, but Joyce, I'm still gonna need snacks and sides. But all you have to do is go to the HelloFresh Market where you can get sides, desserts, snacks. Just add them onto your weekly order and they will also get delivered to your door. Trust me, you're going to want to check this out. It is unbelievable. But I'm going to make it even better for you because if you go to HelloFresh.com and use the code MJSailing21, you are going to get 21 free meal plans plus free shipping. So go ahead and click that link in the description box below. You know how back for elements like our, at least for me, like the big thing was when we didn't have any more wood in our storage unit up the road?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like we found, because it used to be like such a pain to shuffle through. That's going to be that on this boat, is the fiberglass remnants.
When we throw those out?
When we no longer have use for any of them, if we can go away.
Yeah. Never happened.
No, okay.
In the last video, a lot of people were commenting about this little lip as to what we're doing with that and why we were going to cut it off. Because it could be a good place for LED lights and that kind of stuff. Well, we are actually doing that. You can kind of see it over on this side right now. What we're doing now, this is just temporarily held in place, but the idea is to keep the same thickness that we have through here of all of this, that frame around there, and keep that going along here. And it's the same face thickness as well, so it's going to be kind of a balanced thing. And with the LED lights, we want them so they're recessed within there, so you can't see that strip below there. It makes the light look a little bit better typically, and it gets it out of the way so you're not really worrying about it. So what I've done is, to do that, I've taken our 1-inch piece, because that's actually the thickness that needs to be added to this to make our overall, that frame width. Just ran a router down here, clean that out, fill it in. So with some thickened filler, this is the total boat fairing compound that we're using here. It's pretty flexible, so it works well for this application. And then just running a table saw down it to clean off that edge and give me something that's going to eventually, once I sand it and prime it and paint it, it'll be actually a nice surface to bond the LED strip lights to. What that's going to be is eventually that will be bonded into this area. Now I haven't cut it, there's a cove here, I haven't gone through and done that yet, but once that gets in there, that's going to give me that nice little recess in there to mount the lights. It will finish off this edge and it'll match everything else on this, so it'll have some continuity throughout the whole boat, where it all at least has a similar theme. And that's all we're going for kind of with the interior, it's just a similar theme.
On the boat, we have a lot of different projects we're working on at the moment, so it's often the case that I'll walk in to see random projects taking place from one hull to the next. But with temps warm enough to keep the bridge deck workable, we're trying to do all the little bits of glassing while we still can. And since I have my goal of getting paint in the storage areas under the settee, my goal for the day was to go hard in sanding them to remove all gloss from the foam, as well as any leftover resin from glassing. Matt was going to be glassing even more of our edges so that we'd soon be able to ferret out all of the areas in the bridge deck getting paint. Luckily, where I was shoved within this much larger storage space, I could stay fully out of his way while he worked.
No, just getting one. It's gonna go to the top there.
Still being just enough of an annoying perfectionist in this area, I've gone through and just touched up the coves that had those rough lines and kind of sanded down other areas, and I'm expecting that high build primer is going to kind of fill some of that in. But there's one area that I just can't let go, and it is the slope up there. I know it doesn't really matter because, I mean, honestly, that's just kind of like towels and sheets covering it. You probably won't even see it most of the time, but I do want the most fair slope instead of like all these like weird things, because again, when I did this area down here in the spring, I was so disappointed with how it looked. And you're gonna have to help me out in the comments and remind me that it's just a storage space that's rarely going to be seen, because honestly, I am so disappointed in myself right now for the way that it's turned out, even though we're rarely gonna see it. But so I've added some fairing compound to that. I've got the heat lamp on. I'll go back in just a little bit and sand that down, see if it needs one more coat, but I think tomorrow we're actually gonna get the primer on. I'm so excited. Today is the day that we are finally going to prime these cabinets here. I just have a little bit of touching up to do. As you can see, the heating lamp was here because I was just going over one more time to that slope, so I'm going to sand that down and like one little cove in this corner. But that also means that I need to start prepping the primer because it has a 30-minute induction time, so I'm going to get that mixed up. Quick come in here and touch this up, and then we should be ready for Matt to spray it on. I feel like I might be a little bit of a mess right now, but the areas have now all been sanded as much as I'm going to do them for the primer anyway. They have been wiped down, vacuumed, and then I went over it with our de-waxer surface prep. And the plan had been for Matt to get in here with our spray gun and try that out in the space, but he just got the canister in and like tried to do it in there just as a test, and it was too big. It wouldn't even fit. So now I get to go through with the rollers and just do it manually, which is fine. Again, just cabinets. It'll probably take a little bit longer and not look as nice, but this is one thing I am like going to knock out today if it kills me. All right, primer has inducted for a little over 30 minutes now, and look, it's orange. Not what we were expecting. Yeah, ready to get the first coat on. First one is all done and it's looking really good. I feel like this probably is soaking up a lot of the paint. I'm hoping that I can get through my full thing without having to mix another batch, because that induction time is a little bit annoying when I have to be out of here in like an hour. One-third of the way done now, and unfortunately my roller is dissolving. It's left just a couple of pieces of foam in there, not too bad actually, but again, considering that it's a cabinet and this is my first round of primer, I'm not too worried, but I will need to switch to something other than these as I go forward. And as you can tell, I'm trying, I should have a sack on my head, but instead of doing that, I'm just like starting at the far back, doing the overhead, and then like the very back and then the walls, kind of like working my way out so that I hopefully am not getting myself in any of that paint. That stuff is pungent, totally exciting. So I'm only gonna do this part a quick second because I'm basically holding my breath. So I was able to get about 2/3 of it done before I ran out of my primer, but also my next roller did disintegrate as well. Whew, I gotta get out of here. Whoever thought they'd be escaping to the head for some fresh air. Apparently the rollers I have aren't going to last more than like 30 seconds at a time. So hit that again once we have a solution to that. After switching myself over to a solvent-resistant roller, I was going to see if I could get through the rest of the cabinets without having the same issue. And I got the first coat of primer on. Granted, it's orange, so it's a little bit different. I'm sure that helps when you actually go to get the paint on to see it better, but I am so amazed by how nice it looks. Again, that was the very first area I ever tried fairing, and I probably paid a little more attention to it than it needed. But now that I've got that coat on, I'll probably do a second one in the next day or two, give it a sand with some 180, and then it could be ready for paint once we get that in order. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, let the fumes air out, then we'll come back and check on it and maybe do a little celebration. All right, we've given it a few hours to cure, which means the fumes should be gone. It's safe to go down, and I want to go see how it turned out. Round one, and it looks great. I think after a second coat, which I was actually able to get done up here, it covers pretty much any of the green. Surfaces definitely look good enough for a cupboard.
Yeah, for a galley cupboard, I think that's pretty nice. Still not 100% sure. Are we celebrating the fact that this is primer, or that this is the anniversary of when you started this job?
Good point, and it is basically both, but I brought some bubbly and we're gonna celebrate this monumentous occasion that has been 1 year. Now we know like what is good enough to get to this stage.
Yes, this is very, very nice closet grade.
Yeah.
This is...
Matt didn't know about that.
No, I did not know about that. This is, I don't think it's Think big enough. Bam!
Primer is on.
First step towards many.
Yes, first step towards the rest of the
Yeah.
You see, they're doing it. They are doing it. It's happening.
Yeah, very cool seeing close to the finished stage.
Is that...
Good enough.
Keep waiting so long. They're gonna paint the bloody boat.
Congratulations, guys. I don't know what we're celebrating, but you guys are the best. Congratulations.
Matt and Jess gonna paint the bloody boats, the boats. They're gonna paint the bloody boats, the boats. After a year, they're gonna paint the bloody boats, the boats.
Matt and Jessica just put their first coat of primer on their catamaran.
Congratulations.
No way. Congratulations.
Yay, congratulations.
Hey, Matt and Jess, just want to send you a quick note of congratulations on reaching the milestone of laying some primer. Hey, keep dreaming big and working hard. Look forward to continuing to watching that boat take shape. All the best.
Yeah, I know, I can't believe it. I told you it was. Told ya.